Okay, let's talk about something that is, hands down, one of the most frightening moments a parent can ever experience. But my goal here is to help turn that fear into confidence. We're going to walk through clear, simple steps on what to do if your child has a febrile seizure. So picture this. Your child has a fever, and then out of nowhere, their body stiffens and starts to shake. It's absolutely terrifying. Your mind just races, right? What is happening? And what am I supposed to do right now? Well, we are going to answer both of those questions step by step. So, what is this event, actually? It has a name, a febrile seizure. Simply put, it's a convulsion that's triggered by a fever, usually over about 100.4 degrees Fahrenheit. Now, the most important part of this definition is what it isn't. It is not caused by epilepsy or some kind of brain infection. The fever itself is the culprit. I know in that moment, it can feel like you are the only family in the world this has ever happened to. But it's surprisingly common. Between 2 and 5% of all little kids between 6 months and 5 years old will have one. You are definitely not alone in this. All right, let's get right to the most critical information: what to do in the moment. Knowing these immediate safety steps is the key to handling the whole thing safely and calmly. Here is your 4-step playbook. It's super simple. 1, get them onto a safe surface, like the floor, away from anything they could bump into. 2, and this is really important, gently roll them onto their side. This helps keep their airway clear so they can breathe easily. 3, loosen any tight clothes, especially around their neck. And 4, and trust me, the doctors will thank you for this, time the seizure. Just pull out your phone, note the start time and the end time. Now, this is absolutely critical. There is a very dangerous myth that you should put something in a person's mouth during a seizure. That is completely false. A child cannot swallow their tongue, but putting an object in their mouth can cause serious injuries, like broken teeth or even choking. So please, don't do it. The good news is that most febrile seizures are really brief and just stop on their own. But there are very clear red flags that mean it's time to call for emergency help immediately. So let's go over what those are. This number is your most important guide. 5 minutes. If the seizure is still going after 5 minutes have passed on your clock, it's time to call 911 or your local emergency number. No hesitation. So besides that 5-minute rule, you're gonna wanna call for help if your child is having any trouble breathing or if their lips or face start to turn blue. You should also always get immediate medical care for a child's very first seizure. A couple other red flags: if the seizure only seems to affect one part of their body, or if after it's over, they just don't seem to be recovering quickly. Okay, so the immediate crisis is over, and you're talking with a doctor. They might start using some specific terms to classify the seizure, and understanding them will really help you understand what's going on. Basically, doctors put them into 2 main buckets: simple or complex. A simple seizure is the most common kind. It lasts less than 15 minutes, it involves the whole body, and it doesn't happen again in that same 24-hour period. A complex seizure is when at least one of those things is different. It lasts longer than 15 minutes, it's focal, meaning it's just in one part of the body, or it happens more than once in a day. You see? This is why timing it and paying attention to what it looked like is so helpful for your doctor. And here is the most reassuring part of all. The overwhelming majority of these, we're talking 70 to 80%, fall into that simple category. And simple febrile seizures, even though they look so scary, are considered medically harmless. Next up, we have to talk about one of the biggest misconceptions out there when it comes to fevers and seizures. For years and years, the advice was to aggressively treat a fever with medicine to try and prevent a seizure. But the modern, evidence-based guideline is totally different. The goal now is simply to treat your child's discomfort, not to chase a specific number on the thermometer. And this is stated really clearly by the American Academy of Pediatrics. They say that giving your child fever medicine is great for making them feel better and more comfortable, but, and this is the big takeaway, it will not prevent a febrile seizure from happening. So you might be wondering, why not? Well, it's because the seizure isn't really caused by how high the fever gets, but by how fast it rises. That really rapid spike in temperature is what triggers the whole thing. And it often happens so quickly, you might not even realize your child had a fever yet. All right, let's talk about the future. After an event like this, I know every parent is worried about the same thing. What does this mean for my child long term? So, what's the risk of it happening again? About 1/3 of children who have one febrile seizure will have another one during a future illness. But let's flip that statistic on its head. That means 2/3 of kids, a full 67%, will never have another one. And here are the key takeaways for your peace of mind. Simple febrile seizures are benign. They are harmless. They do not cause brain damage or have any long-term impact on your child's intelligence or their development. And importantly, that big fear about epilepsy, the risk is extremely low, only about 2% for simple seizures, which is just a tiny bit higher than for the general population. So let's end here. It's a scary moment, there's just no denying that. But for the vast majority of kids, it is a benign medical event. The fear comes from the unknown. But now you're not in the unknown anymore. You know what it is, you know the immediate steps to take, and you know the long-term outlook is overwhelmingly positive. You are prepared.